AJ Howell, Larry Weir, we're talking about a win this week, so that's pretty exciting for the Eagles fans.
How about that? It was a well-played game, I think, for the most part by Eastern. They guilty of a couple of turnovers there that cost them 10 points, but overall, a lot of explosive plays, solid defense still. Special teams, a couple of gaffes there, but still good returns by Noah Cronquist. Pretty good coverage, so all in all, I think a pretty good team win.
Yeah, it's exactly how you want to start things on the red turf, right?
Absolutely.
We know the power that can hold, and looked like they were going to, they win this one in their own right regardless, but cool to see all the fans and get that momentum heading into a road trip as well.
Yeah, speaking of fans, they're going to get a lot of fans yelling at them this week, so it was nice to have that 1 week where you have people on your side, because on Saturday there aren't going to be very many people out of 20,000 that are on their side.
Right, let's talk a little bit about that environment, which, you are well versed at seeing that, but just Bobcat Stadium, you're already facing a good team, and then the arena itself and the fans present a lot of a challenge.
Eastern has done very well in Missoula over the years with that environment, and now they've expanded Bobcat Stadium some to where it's closer in size, and Eastern has struggled there the last couple of times there, but they also had a lot of success with Montana State prior to, let's say, COVID at 2020. So it's a place where Eastern has had some games in the past that you wouldn't think they'd have been able to come out with a win, but they've been able to sneak out with a win. So we'll see what happens come Saturday. I think back to the 2012 game, and the Eagles were outgained more than 2-1 in that game. Trailing by 4 in the fourth quarter, they blocked a punt for a touchdown, and Montana State in the ensuing possession of pick 6 for a touchdown, and they ended up winning that game, even though they were pushed around the field the whole game. 2004, Eric Meyer goes out with a concussion, comes back, which is the difference between what happens in 2025 and what happens in 2004, and led Eastern from, I think, like 4 touchdowns down to a victory in that game. So there have been some momentous wins for Eastern in Bozeman. We'll see if they can get another one on Saturday.
Absolutely, and I didn't mean to brush past, this past weekend's win. Obviously, a second half win for the Eagles, and the offense, had quite the showing, but of course, we have to talk about Jared Taylor and his potential return this week. Coach Best was just saying, Jared's out there practicing as we speak, but they're not exactly sure what it means for Saturday. He used the term that they're anticipating that he will play, and if they're anticipating that he will play, they anticipate that he will start. But as most would guess, that we should see both guys in some capacity throughout. Obviously, they both get it done in many ways, so that's no surprise, but just that challenge, walking in a little bit of an unknown, but it's a good unknown that somebody's coming back.
Yeah, and it would be great to see Jared back out there, but he hasn't played in a couple of weeks. He's practicing this week. I'm sure that if there's some kind of an issue in practice this week, that could change the situation as well for Eastern. So I would assume you will see, if Jared's cleared to play, I would assume you'll see both quarterbacks. And I would be willing to make a dollar bet that you'll see both of them out there at the same time on more than one occasion on Saturday, and maybe a situation where you're not going to know who's going to get the snap. It might go to Jared or it might go to Nate, and it might be a handoff to one or the other, and instead of a running play, it's a passing play. So I would think they're working on a few things to try to foul up Montana State a little bit, and we'll see how it all goes. Sometimes you can foul up yourself when you do that kind of stuff.
Pretty good bet that you have there, because he said Aaron said it's not potential, it's a reality that you'll see a 2-quarterback system if he's back. And I love this because this is the most Aaron Best term ever. I think he said that Jared's in the return to play arena. I love that.
Yes, yeah.
He's in that area, in that arena.
In that arena. So that's not something you hear all the time, I guess. But no, I think it's great for Jared, and I think the kids the players are probably happy to see him back. Obviously, he's the leader on this team. But at the same point, he didn't do anything to lose that spot by being injured, but Nate Bell has picked things up, and he hasn't necessarily done anything to not gain his spot. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage things going forward.
Absolutely. Bess kept saying, as of this next matchup, you don't have to play perfect. Came up more than once. Obviously, when it seems like the hard to achieve and elusive goal was a win, and it almost seems like you have to be perfect to get there when you keep losing in close margins. But now that they have that win, knowing that they have the capability heading into this, how strong is that? Even when it's the number 4 team in the country.
Yeah, I mean, you might not have to play to perfection, but you better be pretty close. I think I don't think you can afford to be on the wrong side of the turnover margin. I think you've got to be pretty close to them in third down conversions and red zone scoring. You can't be kicking field goals when they're scoring touchdowns in the red zone. So, yes, you don't have to be perfect necessarily to win a ball game, but you better be closer to perfect than not in order to get a number 4 team in the country on the road.
Absolutely. And then, of course, you mentioned it, some of the history between these two teams. Last Eastern victory was there in 2018, I believe. I started looking back at the last time the Bobcats were 2-2 to start the season. They're beginning conference play, and that doesn't necessarily determine anything. But do you think, knowing, this program has been such a high caliber for so long, it's not to disrespect anything that they've done, but do you feel like there's an opportunity, a little window in there to be like, okay, they're not having a start that they've had in a while, regardless of opponent? Because obviously that you can go back every year and find why things may have happened the way that they have.
Yeah, obviously the Oregon game was going to be in the loss column. And the South Dakota State game, I think, was one that got away from them a little bit. They probably could have won that ball game. Last two teams haven't really given them a lot of competition. So now they're going to face conference foes who are a little bit better than the last two. So the fact that they, beat Mercyhurst 17-0, I think that, and not 41-0, I think maybe that opens a window of hope. Maybe if you're an Eagle fan, to be able to look at that and say these guys have. The players themselves, they've got belief they're going to win this game. Fans may not believe they're going to win this game. They're just hoping to keep the game close and hope to get there in the end. But the players have the belief. And again, if you execute and you do what you're supposed to do and you don't shoot yourself in the foot and you get into the fourth quarter with a chance, maybe this time around, instead of losing some of those tough games, maybe the Eagles will make a play to win a ball game like this. We'll see.
We'll see. All right. Well, we'll be tuning in. We'll be listening for you, and we'll be here to talk about it next week.
Thanks, AJ.
Thanks, Larry.